Welcome back to our final series here this weekend. We've got Shopify going up against Disguised. I'm Captain Flowers, joined by Azael for this one. We heard a little bit of the banner ceremony from last week where eXyu did get to choose Fudge and Shopify as his opponents.
Yeah, I honestly thought it was really funny too. He's like, yeah, he's got some horror stories on Thursday. And Fudge's clapback is like the cell phone. And all I can think of is, have you heard the British football chants where it's like when the team's doing bad and there's like, you're nothing special, everyone beats us. We lose every week, you know, stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, you beat our ass, but so does everybody else. That's not that impressive.
It shows a specific level of tenacity and determination and grit to be able to just take yourself down with them and to be like, no, bro, you're not very good. We lose to everybody. Like, we're having troubles right now.
I love it. I love it. But all right.
For both these squads, though, let's see what they're cooking here today. For Disguised, we want to see them shape up, right? The last time that we got to see them, they were in a matchup that I think nobody else in the league would be jealous of. They had to play against FlyQuest in their opening match here of split number 3. That's never going to be a very fun time with the current state of FlyQuest just running the league here in the LTA. So now that Disguised is up against an opponent that I think is much more within their weight class in Shopify, I'm excited to see specifically what DARKWINGS and Rahel, these new carries swapped in for Split 3, can bring to the table.
Yeah, this could be really interesting. Also, you know, we've been seeing quite a bit of first pick of Vi. I'm honestly more a fan of the Taliyah side of that because it feels like when you take Vi, you're trading over the Taliyah. This time, it's not actually going to be grabbed. Instead, it is double solo laners here for Fudge and Palafox. So they're going to grab the Annie. And you have to think then that DARKWINGS is going to be able to actually have this. Oh, wow, so there's no Taliyah. This is actually very surprising. Unless they're really cooking and this is like Galio support or something, this is honestly really surprising to see Taliyah just completely go through.
Yeah, just falls through everything.
Taliyah Vi is
when
like
was the last time
combo.
this happened? Like,
I mean, I'm sure it's happened, but I can't, like, off the top of my head, I'm not sure, man.
It feels rare.
Yeah,
right?
It definitely feels really rare. To me, Taliyah is by far the best mid laner in pro play right now, and I just think that it is, you know, so powerful the way that you can actually play the map. It has good laning phase. It combos really well with Vi, so it is surprising. And presumably, again, you know, we are assuming it is going to be Galio mid to answer the Annie, which, of course, when there are double AP solo laners, Galio's really strong. You know, it's going to have a champion that's going to be able to deal with magic damage quite easily. You can stack MR. That I do think is why they're pairing it with the Trundle, though, right? Because not only is Trundle physical damage and can actually build AD, you can go Triforce, you can go aggressive, but you're also going to sap a lot of those resistances, right? So if the Galio's like, okay, no problem, I can deal with you, I'm just going to stack a million MR, well, now all of a sudden, a lot of that is going to be taken away by the Trundle, and it's going to make him that much tankier because you also have double AP solo laners.
Yeah, and playing Trundle into Vi, you're feeling pretty good. A lot of Vi's power budget is in her target access, being able to jump on top of carries and threaten them. However, Trundle's not really a great target. As soon as
Trundle wants you.
Yeah, as soon as you're within chomp range, he is chowing down. But let's go ahead and take a look at what these bottom lanes are shaping up to appear like as we have the Kai'Sa and the Sivir banned out by Shopify. Disguised, taking Neeko off the table. I'm always happy to see Neeko banned because she's very confusing to cast because of the clone plays tricks on my brain.
I agree.
I like the choice
out of there. I mean, I think realistically, we kind of know what we're getting. We're going to be getting hard engage from the support, unless it is a flex for DSG and they're trying to get really clever. You're going to get something along the lines, you know, of Rell, of Alistar, of Nautilus. You know, these type of champions are just so popular these days. And the real question is just what are the AD carry pairings going to be with it? They are selecting Corki, it looks like, which is just kind of like a standard generic AD carry these days, and does have a really strong laning phase if you do want to pair it alongside one of those hard engaged supports, because if you hit all your spells, this champion is going to crush you. The Foss Bomb does, honestly, a pretty ridiculous amount of damage early on, so pairing it with some hard CC can be quite powerful. And it is going to be able to give him a little bit of poke as well when you are kind of blind picking here.
And I really do want to see that hard engage for the support role, not just because of the fact that it pairs well with the Corki, but because you don't have really powerful engage in top lane or in jungle. Obviously, you have Annie with the Tibbers, but I want to see a little bit more than that. And also considering, I feel like we talk about this all the time when Shopify is playing, Contractz and Seos roaming around together as a two-man duo to make the plays, make the ganks, find the picks for Shopify, I think is one of the core tenets of their success. So I want to see Seos on something that can team up with the Trundle and just go around bonk some heads.
So we're going to get the Bard from huhi, which I do actually really like. Because they already have the Vi, I don't think that they need to have, the hard engage kind of go button from the support. I was honestly still expecting that they would go for it, just because it is kind of so common in pro play that people just default towards that. But Bard getting more popular. Busio has been styling on people on this pick.
Yep.
And we'll see if he's going to be able to have a lot of success on it. And especially when you're pairing it with Ezreal, it's such a classic pairing because Ezreal can really stay safe on his own. And that allows Bard the freedom to get out on the map, to try to make plays. And then you kind of have this potential roam squad of Galio moving around the map, with the Vi, with the Bard, attacking side lanes, which could be pretty cool. And on the other side, Shopify did need that primary engage here. Yes, you can have any function that way, but Rell coming through, not a surprise whatsoever.
Nope.
And it's going to be an interesting one. I do think that there is the potential for Fudge to take over in a side lane later on, on that Gwen. Both the Rumble and the Galio will struggle to actually, match him in that 1v1 at a certain point. But I do feel like the comps are pretty even, and DSG is going to have a real shot. They're apparently pretty close in the scrims. DSG has been able to actually beat Shopify in scrims. So I think especially when you have new players like Rahel and DARKWINGS coming in, the fact that they're playing against a team that they've actually beat a lot of times in scrims is hopefully going to give them some confidence to actually go on stage and have a good match.
Yeah, I'm excited for this one, and specifically for Disguised, looking at how they can win here, how they can start punching up and trying to climb up the standings as we approach the end of a year that has been very difficult for them as a team so far. I think when you look back at the series from week number 1, huhi in particular had a pretty rough series. Looked like there were still some cobwebs getting dusted off from that stage game versus the last time that we saw them back in Split 2. So I'm hoping to see, obviously, the whole squad lock in, play together, play coherently. But huhi in particular, especially on the Bard like you're talking about, having the opportunity to make the roams, having the chance to set up the plays, that's who I'm looking at.
Oh, they are trying to cook on this. So this is actually really interesting. It didn't end up happening, but what they're trying to do with the Gwen walking in from below and the Rell in the pit there is they're hoping that the Ezreal, instead of walking down, would walk to the left and over into where that Rell is, so then the Rell can crash down over the wall and potentially actually find you for summon or something like that. So I think that was actually a pretty clever attempt at a level 1 from Shopify. Did not work out, though.
All right, so let's go ahead and check in what we've got, because the first thing that I'm noticing, Fudge is running TP Exhaust as opposed to having a flash, so we'll have to keep an eye on that throughout the game here.
Yeah, we can see eXyu, this was from the banner selection ceremony here where they picked their opponent for this week. He was talking about Contractz. He said, he's the only top jungler that I can actually beat. I'm always losing to Inspired, I'm always losing to Blabber, but Contractz I can take down. And eXyu is someone that I think we want to see more from. So we'll actually, it'll be interesting to see, if he can turn in a good series here today. But yep, Exhaust up on the top side is pretty spicy. I do think that can be really powerful for these all-ins in the 1v1, so we'll see if Fudge can find an opportunity for that. Castle going towards this phase rush tech, though, is an answer towards that. Especially, it's good against Gwen, period, but when you're against Gwen and Trundle, it's like Trundle ganks are just slows with Pillar, right? So proccing phase rush, you can kind of just run straight out of there. And phase rush is honestly just getting more and more popular, it feels like, these days, as Castle's got to be careful. He kind of miscounted on the minions a little bit there, and Fudge gets level 2 faster and does get a good trade. But you can see double phase rush in mid lane, phase rush up on the Rumble as well. It's just getting popular even for Annie. People are kind of feeling like the damage you lose is just worth the trade-off of having this extra powerful utility.
It really opens up new angles for how you can play the matchups, doing those quick bursty trades and then getting back out before somebody can find a proper retaliatory response. As both of our supports do also have Summoner Spellbook this game, so like always, I'm going to be looking for creative usage of those. I'm going to see which one of these guys can have the better timings, specifically for things like the teleports, specifically for things like the smites at the right moment to try to steal away an objective, maybe make something happen through that. But right now, it's not really a whole lot going on here early, as both our junglers are on opposite sides of the map, finishing up with their full clears, about to do their second box.
Yep. Just going to be pretty standard stuff, but you can see eXyu actually was pinging up towards topside, and he did skip his blue buff, so trying to get there before Fudge can crash this wave. Okay. And Fudge could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, Fudge gonna have to look out for that Vault Breaker, because here it comes. eXyu arrives, one more hit's gonna get it done. First blood over to Disguise.
Yeah, Fudge just realizes at that point he has no flash, there's no way he's gonna get out of there, so he just focuses down the wave, gets the crash, which is the important thing. But today we are going to be doing a little bit of grading for some of the newcomers here.
Okay.
This is going to be a report card that we're going to be filling out. Okay. So, do they win lane? Are they up CS? Are they making a good play? Are they outperforming their opponent? So we're going to have to grade on this. This is going to be a group project, Flowers.
I mean, I'm honestly kind of down for this because I'm not the one getting graded. This is going to be way better than normal school.
Exactly. We get to grade, but we have to do the grading together.
Okay.
This makes it so that if our grades are bad, I can blame you.
Right. Exactly as a group project is supposed to be conducted.
That is why God invented group projects. You have someone to defer responsibility onto.
Somebody has to be the sacrificial grading mechanism.
Exactly.
And that's, I'm happy to help here with the group project.
But likewise, you can also blame me.
Okay, so we'll just both blame each other.
Yeah, and no one will accept any responsibility for what we've done.
This sounds fantastic.
Yeah,
Palafox now might have to accept responsibility for this gank as huhi is going to show up, put a little bit of damage on him, but honestly, there's not a whole lot of punishment here. It's not like you're going to get the binding into the wall there to lock him up for an extended period of time. So huhi's gank mostly just going to be to help DARKWINGS get this shoved up, get this shoved out, throws a couple of, I'm always going to call them hot cocos. I know they're caretaker shrines, but I feel like almost everyone uses the Snow Day Bard, and I'm just too used to it.
Yep, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. See exactly how they're doing. If we're looking at CS, if he gets all these, it's going to be just about dead even in that bot lane. Mid lane, a little bit behind, but kind of as you'd expect in these types of matchups. Range versus melee. Bot lane looks like it is going to be just about, dead even, bang on, 42 to 42. So Rahel laning well there against Bvoy and Seos thus far. And they do have that little early advantage they got from that kill on top side. So things looking pretty good for DSG. And honestly, even though DSG went 0-2 and Shopify went 2-0, I feel like it's not going to be that much of a massive mismatch or anything like that. I did feel like Shopify was in a position where they could have lost both of the games last week. Yep. And DSG, you talked about it, but I give them a little bit of a pass because, you lost, but you lost to FlyQuest. And everyone kind of is losing to FlyQuest these days. Really the only team that could compete with them last year, or last split I should say, was C9. And then Shopify did take a couple games, but those were the only two teams out of the entire split that even got a game against FlyQuest.
I mean, when you're up against FlyQuest, like you look at the schedule, you just kind of see the scheduled loss incoming, and you bounce off of it as good as you can. You see, all right, let's take away whatever learnings we might be able to find and then come back better next week. But right now, Shopify Rebellion have started up this first Drake of the game, just a little bit after 6 minutes on the clock, as Disguised is going to walk up and try to potentially contest for this. eXyu nearby, Drake down to about 1,500 HP. Contractz close in, and it will be secured by the Trundle. Now everybody on Disguised, ready to dogpile in, but Rahel's already got the first kill there onto Seos. Shopify Rebellion trying to get away from this one. Contractz takes a bite, but it's huhi eating good. 3-0 in kills for Disguised.
Yeah, nicely done. Disguised coming up big at that fight. It was secured, the Dragon, by Contractz, but still, it's a really good fight right after it. DARKWINGS came in with a huge ultimate and is able to swing that fight pretty effectively. And they're opening up a pretty solid early lead here. 1.6K, not even 7 minutes in. That is a really good start for DSG.
I mean, hey, you give away a Mountain Drake, but at this point into the game, I would much rather have the gold advantage 10 times out of 10. I feel like for Disguised, you're super happy with this sequence of everything. And now we've got the grubs spawning in about 45 seconds. If they want to try to control that area, they've got the gold advantage to try to force a fight there if they want to. It's a really good spot.
You know what? I think that's a check mark for make a good play for DARKWINGS.
I agree. We are in accord for that one.
I think that's a gold star at the top of your test. That is at least something right, So we're going to see how they made that play.
Go to left, go to left.
Yeah, we're coming.
Watch, I'm going to go when it's slow, okay? Can you get LT?
Yeah.
Look at Rell. The fight is good. Look, Trundle. Trundle, no flash.
Keep going.
Yeah, can we go Trundle? No flash. I think you guys got it. Nice. Good job.
Maybe.
Yeah, it was a tale of two mid-lane impacts in that one, as there was just no way for Palafox to affect the fight. He couldn't have any impact in it because it was already over by the time the Annie arrived. Even with Flash, even with ult ready, there was just no angle to contribute, especially not as meaningfully as DARKWINGS did. Now, eXyu starting up the grubs. First grub secured. Remaining two grubs are bad, and eXyu is not sticking around to face their wrath just yet. Disguised is trying to play this slow and careful enough to not give Shopify a punish angle.
Yeah, and you can see that eXyu was just waiting for that second charge of Smite to kind of recharge here. So we'll see if he wants to go back for that second grub. Even if you don't get 3, if you get 2, that does count as an objective taken towards those feats. And Castle, despite that early gank, on Fudge, has been on the backside, it feels like, of all this pushing. He's always kind of under his tower, getting chunked down. He's going to just drop the equalizer just to clear out the wave.
I mean, he's got to be a little bit scared. He's half health. He just recently used his flash. He's not going to have that available for almost 5 minutes. Shopify Rebellion have secured a single grub for themselves, as now huhi's ready to start up the fight. Seo's in the middle of everybody, but the Rell doesn't even have the power to use the ulti just yet. eXyu's already dead as Bvoy picks up the kill. Now Castle in the middle of everybody, trying to find enough damage here on the Contractz. The winds of war are blowing, but they do not blow strongly enough. As Disguise disengages back over the wall, they get everybody back on out after having only lost eXyu, but it's a +1 fight for Shopify.
Yeah, Shopify are going to be able to get 1 grub, get 1 kill. That last grub is still up for grabs. But DSG, have to be a bit careful here. Castle will play it safe enough, checks that brush with the Electro Harpoon. You can see eXyu running back out towards that top side, so we'll see if anyone actually wants to start up that grub and try to grab the second one. Looks like eXyu skipping his camp, so he's going straight there. And we can see Contractz is down on that bot side, so if eXyu is to start it, it should be their grub to get.
And I feel like that fight could have gone even better for Shopify. The big difference there, Seo's not level 6 compared to huhi having the Tempered Fate available on the Bard. I feel like if Rell has Magnet Storm here, could be a different situation.
Yeah, absolutely. We will see this fight one more time here, as huhi does start it off with the Bard ulti, but it's only on Contractz and doesn't really get much done. And then you can see over on the side, eXyu went for this engage, but Galio ult is not up and available. Equalizer was not up and available. There was no way really for the rest of his team to actually follow through on that engage. So yes, he goes in, but he just kind of gets zeroed out by the Tibbers and knocked down pretty easily. And eXyu in that one, just kind of on a solo mission, gets punished pretty hard on the side.
I mean, that's the problem with Vi, man. If you've got the backup, if you pick the right moment, yeah, you're the hero, you save the day, you catch the carry. If you pick the wrong moment, if you don't have the backup, you're the delivery food driver and making sure that the opponents are being well fed. Unfortunately for eXyu, that one backfires, but he does still have 100% kill participation. It's not like it's been a bad game from him so far. Fudge now in a little bit of danger. huhi firing off the Tempered Fate to save him a couple of turret shots as Fudge has to try to kite away back from his own turret. Seos wants to come up here and help his top laner. Fudge is buying a lot of time, but not enough. eXyu claiming kill number 4 for Disguise.
Yeah, well done there by Disguise. huhi just turns off the tower, so all Fudge can really do is just kite out away from that tower, but there's not enough time for Seos to get in and actually bail him out of that position. So does about the best he can, but still at the end of the day, it does go down.
Yeah.
And the pressure on the side lane has been pretty effective. They got that early kill on Fudge. They take him down once again. They already have the feats of warfare here and did eventually get that second grub. So they are 1-to-1 as far as the objectives are concerned. And now DSG likely to claim this second dragon. So going to be only 1 objective away from getting the feats of strength. And it's a strong start in game number 1 for DSG.
Wholeheartedly agree. 12 minutes in, they're leading just about every way that they could possibly be leading in. As soon as they'll grab this dragon here to equalize those like you're talking about. DARKWINGS just clearing out some continued vision here on his Galio. I'm liking what I'm seeing from DARKWINGS on the Galio so far. Just want to make sure that as they keep going forward, they're syncing up with the Vi. Fudge once more in danger. Castle and huhi putting in some good work at a health bar there, and now Castle should just be able to cook him up. But Fudge, he drinks his potion. He barely gets away.
Yeah, Fudge is going to be able to survive. Whoa, that Ezreal ultimate almost tagged him as well. The exhaust paying dividends. But this is the problem when you do play no ghost, no flash on the Gwen. When you're playing Ignite DP or Exhaust DP, it can be pretty dangerous. You really are susceptible to getting attacked in these side lanes. And they have been putting the pressure on him. This time they just barely don't have enough damage to actually finish him off. But still, they do force him back to base. They force out the TP here from Palafox, and it's a good bit of pressure. huhi has been quite active on the map. Rahel has just been farming well, kind of chilling. He's scaling up on his own, and it's been pretty effective so far on the Bard.
I mean, with the Gwen situation, you're painting a giant target on your back, taking that extra combat summoner spell. It's up to your opponents to punish it, and I like the fact that Disguised is focusing on that. I like the fact that huhi is kind of doing exactly what I wanted to see from him this game. He's getting out of the lane, he's roaming around the map, he's trying to affect things early and often. He's already got his Mikhails fully completed now too, which I think is a fantastic purchase, especially considering if Seos isn't around, the only real CC threat is Palafox. Mikhails can have a lot of value.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how much he can get. You know, if you're positioning properly and you can get an instant Mikhails on the Annie stun, then that is going to be pretty valuable. Obviously, you can do it on Shattering Strike or something like that, but usually the crash down and whatnot is going to be falling right up to actually, you know, be able to CC you after that. So it's interesting because I do think, you know, there's an opportunity for him to get a lot of value, but it's not like an easy cut and dry one, like when you're playing against Sejuani primary engage or Ashe or something like that, where it's just like, this is the button, you press it on and you get value every time. So I do think he's going to have to be on point because, you know, Annie's stun is not that long. It's like pretty quick. So you have to be right there, insta-cleanse that, or you're not going to get great value.
Okay, we've got about 45 seconds here till the Rift Herald spawns, and you can see Disguised in the enemy jungle, seeing if maybe there was an opportunity to try to make some sort of a play up here, but Shopify do have enough men nearby, ready to make sure that Palafox can't get dove, so Disguised are just going to take the option, go ahead and retreat, go back to base, make their purchases, get their wards, and be ready to fight for this Herald, because I think that if you're in this spot right now as Disguised, you want to push this lead.
Yep, exactly. And you see Shopify trying to push out through that top side here. eXyu with a nice early gold lead, about 800 gold in his advantage. It really is that top side where they have the edge right now. Castle, I feel like Castle has been one of the guys that people have been looking at really positively from DSG. You know, even when they are struggling, people are kind of pointing towards him as someone who can at least make some things happen, right? He's been very creative with his picks. He's been able to find good opportunities to try to, you know, get kills or make out plays, you know, even in difficult situations. And you think back to last week against FlyQuest, where he's able to get a solo kill on Ghost when he was subbed in, you know, in this Jax versus Rumble matchup, I believe it was. You know, and he's someone that I think gets a lot of credit, you know, even from the other pro top laners as a really strong laner. And we'll see if DSG's changes that they've made with Rahel and DARKWINGS coming through can help them to get some more wins. Because the reality is this team is facing down potential relegation at the end of the split.
Yeah.
They're going to have to fight to defend their spot, which really puts a lot of pressure on the team to improve, or your spot could just quite literally be gone in the LTA.
I mean, it's a type of pressure that hasn't really existed here in our league since back in 2017, as there's your Tempered Fate, finds its way onto Contractz. Now the follow-up, Seos wanting to drop down the Magnet Storm as eXyu has to try to flash away, but the Herald secured by Bvoy and Shopify Rebellion. Now they'll be able to pick up that eye, get themselves out of this one. A little bit of tragedy there for Disguised, who would much rather have a stronger fight than this. Contractz, though, seeing huhi still trying to stop some of these recalls, and we're just going to go back to normal. No deaths at the Rift Herald.
Yeah, that was actually really nicely done by Seos. I think huhi had a great ult. He throws his ult over onto Contractz to try to give eXyu the time to actually burst it down, but then Seos just came through and immediately targets eXyu and CCs him long enough so that the Bard ult actually expires. Trundle gets out, gets his smite down, Bvoy hits it at the same time, and the eye was on the side of Contractz. You know, the eye was not facing towards eXyu, so really well played, I think, by both supports in that case. And it ends up meaning that Shopify do grab the objective and deny the objective feats plus the Herald from going over. That is still up for grabs for DSG, but that would have been their third objective because they got the 2 grubs, because they got the earlier dragon. So it's actually a pretty big denial there since they already have the feat of warfare.
All right, Shopify going to go ahead and start up this next Drake, though. Remember, 1-to-1 in terms of those Drake counts, as huhi and eXyu both stepping forward. Tempered Fate is not available yet. Again, neither is the Magnet Storm, so both supports can't contribute as meaningfully as they would otherwise like to. We're going to see Shopify go ahead and back up as the dragon loses a little bit of its patience, but still, it'll be aggroed once more by Disguised.
Fudge is on the top side and has no TP, so this should be Disguised Dragon, and it should be the feats going their way. Contractz is kiting this Gromp down, but I mean, I don't think he's going to get in range to actually do anything about this here. eXyu has the smite, takes it. That is going to be upgraded boots there, as DARKWINGS looking for a re-engage.
Yeah, DARKWINGS might be in a little bit of danger here, but a nicely placed Tempered Fate drops any chance of Shopify following up on that immediately. Contractz is going to try to posture aggressively, step forward a little bit further, but he won't find any more opportunities there at DARKWINGS health.
A really nice pillar, though, from Contractz, actually interrupting the E forward from DARKWINGS. So, you know, as he goes for that Justice Punch, he gets stuffed by the pillar. but then huhi there to help him get out. And DARKWINGS, is going pretty standard. We generally see like one tank item into AP. Hollow Radiance into Riftmaker is very common in these kind of matchups. So that is what I'm expecting we're going to get, not a Leandries or anything along those lines. But doing well so far, is down a little bit in CS, but not a big deal. Rahel did end up slightly ahead as far as the lane was concerned, so I think that's a check for the win lane. A check for the CS.
Not a super convincing like domination.
But it doesn't say dominate lane.
Okay, all right.
It's win lane. If I beat you in a foot race by a second or a minute, did I beat you?
Oh, we're doing Fast and Furious rules.
Yeah.
Huh? All right.
If you ain't first, you're last, Flowers.
That's Ricky Bobby rules. We're getting our car movie.
No, we're just going everywhere. We're pulling from all the greats.
All over the road.
Diesel, from Ricky Bobby, some of the philosophers, the greatest minds of our time, Flowers.
I like how we're using the name of one character. Hold on now. Seos is going to be some danger heading his way as he gets cooked up by Castle right there next to eXyu and huhi. They set the trap. It's easy to find the punish. Disguise now ahead over 2,000 gold after that 5th kill.
Yeah, doing really well. I'm pretty sure Vin Diesel is named Vin Diesel no matter what his character is.
No, that's what I was going to say, is we're talking about the one character, and then the other one is just the guy.
No one's calling him like Dom Moretto or whatever his name is. It's Vin Diesel, brother.
All right, you know what? Fair enough. We got Vin Diesel and Ricky Bobby.
His last name is Diesel, and he's in a racing movie. He's Vin Diesel.
Okay, fine. Fair enough. I can respect the wordplay on that one, as I can also respect another Tempered Fate coming out here from huhi, but he's got to be a little bit more careful. Palafox wanted to try to get the damage down, but it ain't going to happen. huhi swapping over to the Exhaust, finding value there with the Summoner Spellbook, and Disguised are going to grab the first turret here in the top lane. Otacon has just spawned, Isaac, and Disguised is up almost 3,000 gold. This is a great first 20 minutes from them.
Yeah, they're looking really, really good. I mean, huhi continually is finding value in these side lanes. This time it is not attacking Fudge, but it's attacking Palafox, finding him, getting the flash off him. Yes, they trade the flash from Castle, but Castle is getting really strong. He is 1,700 gold ahead. He already has 2 completed items here with the Bloodletter's Curse. The Leandry's done. He's been on Swifty Boots for a while. He will have to be a bit careful. Nice attempt to try to interrupt with a pillar there, but of course, even if you interrupt the magical journey, you can just get right back in. There's no like cooldown or anything on it.
Just hop in the portal.
Exactly, you just kind of hop back up. But huhi has been looking really effective.
Yeah.
And the question is, can they close the game out as far as how the team fights are going to look? Because DSG, they do have their strong moments, but they have really struggled, I think, on how they play the map, and they have really struggled on how they play team fights out sometimes.
Yeah.
They can look disjointed at times, and Shopify is always going to be a threat. Castle is spotted.
Okay, Castle, can you fight your way out of this one? Tries to turn around for some damage there, but a Contractz just about burns him down, but the Tempered Fate arrives. eXyu trying to follow up here with an engage. Beautifully played from Castle. The Rumble is the bait, and Shopify are hooked. Disguised feeling great about the way this one played out.
Yeah, that was actually sick. Castle able to get a great equalizer down that is getting them really low. Then it's the entire team that comes in to actually bail him out, because huhi buys time with the Tempered Fate, and then eXyu targets Palafox, who has his full kit available. So as the Tempered Fate expires on Castle, Palafox is CC'd by the Vi, so he can't actually finish him off. So it was really well done by a number of DSG members there, and they're going to get Otacon right off the back of this. I feel like this is one of the best games we've ever seen DSG play.
Absolutely. Let's watch it again as Contractz and Seos just burn down the Castle.
Yeah, I mean, he is just cooking Contractz. So in comes down Tempered Fate, and you're thinking, well, Palafox is going to kill him right after, but look at the timing on the CC. Immediately CC'd up by the Vi, then DARKWINGS arrives. The time is bought by huhi. Really great team effort from DSG.
I mean, you can see on Palafox's character card down there, Tibbers is still lit up as an emblem. He did not get to use the ultimate at all.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, by the time he was actually out of the CC, Castle was not in range anymore. So that was honestly sick. Really well played by DSG. Big fight for them on the top side. It is 8-1. I thought that this was honestly going to be the closest matchup of the week. I was kind of proven wrong because Lion obviously pulled off the upset. But DSG showing that they are not to be messed with here. And turning in a pretty solid game. TP's coming up. There's the Exhaust. I don't know if they can actually chase him down.
Yeah, Castle's feeling pretty confident on this Rumble. Fudge is not going to get a whole lot more here. Bvoy, though, ready to follow it up on the Corki. One more auto attack, point blank range. You combine it with the Gatling gun, and Castle finally falls.
Nicely done. Going to be able to chase him down. They do get a kill there. We'll see how much more they can take because the objective bounties are up and available. So if Fudge can push in and actually take the tower on the top side, that would be nice. But meanwhile, eXyu is working away on this dragon. So they are going to be moving to Soul Point here. It is Chemtech Soul, so not the highest desirability as far as that is concerned. But still, a soul is a soul. Fudge will be able to take this tower, though, so the gold lead will be getting closed a decent bit there. You know, down below 3K. It was about 1,000 gold swing off the back of that, but Rahel going to help to even things out as he's going to be able to knock down that mid lane tower.
Yeah, it's still a very impressive lead for Disguised. You've still got Soul Point, even if it's a lower value soul like you're talking about. They're up almost 20 flowers as well, so you're looking at probably almost a couple thousand extra adaptive force up over Shopify on top of what the gold advantage itself states on the scoreboard. As huhi, again, as soon as you see Seos, you're just backing away. Doesn't want to get caught out here. Goes for the binding into the wall, but does not hit the terrain. I swear, man, that one looks like it should have been a stun into the wall. I feel like that stuns 9 out of 10 times, but that was
the first time ever a Bard Q hasn't cheated.
Yeah, it's like it's one of the most cheating abilities in the game. And
just like Vin Diesel, it drifts around the corner to actually stun them.
Okay, yeah, it's all right. We've got a. What do you mean drift? We've got Fudge about to drift.
Was that your Vin Diesel?
That's the Country Bumpkin character. That's the main guy in 3.
Okay. Yeah, no, I was like, come on, brother.
No, that's not. No. The third Fast and Furious movie has different characters. It's
all just one movie if you watch them in a row. You know?
Yeah, it's the same thing. It's just drive the cars fast, blow stuff up. The first one is actually
the one where
different.
they drove into space.
It is funny if you look back at that series of movies, because the first one actually is like a more normal plot about
they're
like
just driving.
Put police investigations into illegal street races and stuff.
Yeah.
And then by the end, they're going to destroy the world with an Omega-powered missile. You've got to drive fast and stop them, Vin Diesel. It's the only way. Ramp this car off of a plane while it's flying.
Only you driving into outer space can stop the nuclear missile, which will be launched from the moon, which is actually a car.
We've got to drive the moon. And that's what Disguised are doing right now. They are driving this lead straight to the moon as they're building up nearly back to 4,000 here. Again, 25 minutes into the game. Shopify feel a little bit strangled out of Summoner's Rift right now.
Yeah, they are getting choked out here. And we'll see if they can find a play to try to turn things around. They do have some pretty good X-Factor champs. They have some power as far as the side lane goes. If Fudge can maybe find a solo kill or something like that. And they do have some good engage tools here with both Seos and Palafox. But Seos may be getting caught out here.
Yeah, that main engage tool just took a whole ton of damage. Just barely getting away for now. eXyu catches up, smites him down. Now DARKWINGS ready to make his heroic entrance.
Fudge.
TP though, Fudge wants to join up with everybody, and DARKWINGS has overextended. Another shutdown for Shopify. It'll be a 1-for-1 trade, but the gold favors the Rebellion.
Yeah, nicely done there. Shopify do get a kill. They get the TP as well, you know, coming through. And DARKWINGS, you know, he just ulted. It was actually Fudge's TP. So they do get the ult, and they do get the kill. I'm going to be pretty happy about that, but it does hurt to lose both the summoners off of Seos. He used both a flash and a ghost in that moment, and Rell without flash, obviously a lot less explosive, a lot harder to actually find some of these big engages, but they definitely do have the ability, especially with that Trundle pillar. If some people are going in, you can just pillar off the back line or lock in that front line and just focus one person down.
Yep.
You know, they're not that tanky at this point where, you know, they can just find any fight and just kind of auto-win it.
And it was a good start to that last fight with the pick there for Disguise, finding Seos. But it's kind of what you were talking about earlier, where for these teams that are lower in the standings, for the teams that generally struggle to close out games, a lot of it is because they don't have the experience, they don't have the expertise when it comes to the later stages, recognizing when to go in, when to not go in, just as importantly.
Absolutely, and you can see Rahel here has just been quietly farming up. He is the highest level in the game. He's 16. No soul laner has actually hit 16 yet.
That's kind of wild, yeah.
And I mean, he's just been basically solo farming the whole time. You know, he's been involved in a little bit of stuff, but mostly he's just been chilling farming. He's 291 CS at 27 minutes, right? So he is just farming heavily here. Has had that second item for a long time and is going to be working towards his third. Bvoy on the other side, though, is kind of the big hope for Shopify. He has their lead right now, and he is very strong. 3-item Corki, not to be messed with. The other players just kind of need to keep him safe, land that CC so he can be free firing, And hopefully for them, we'll be able to get something done as a result. Because when you're looking over, there's very little armor, right? You know, it's the Galio is on Merc Treads plus the Hall of Radiance. You know, there's a little bit of armor elsewhere, but huhi getting caught out, that definitely sucks.
Yeah, huhi did not want to be there. We've been praising him so much throughout this game, and now he dies with 10 seconds before what would be Dragon Soul for Disguised. The timing couldn't be much worse on that one.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're probably going to have to give up that Dragon. This could have been their soul right here. Now Shopify going to be able to buy some time, and you can see that DSG are making the call. We're going to try to make a play on the other side. So they're trying to attack the tier 2 top as an answer. Palafox clearly knows this, though. He is standing very far back. But even if he can't, you know, get a kill or whatever, you can still try to focus down this tier 2 tower, and that's what they're going to do here. Just 3 members top, focus down the tier 2, so they'll at least get that gold. But teleports are coming in as well from huhi, so maybe DSG wants to try to find some even more, like try to set up a pick around Baron, try to control vision in that area, see if they can force something.
Well, Fudge does take the tier 1 turret down here in bottom lane at the same time. Eyes on his timers. It's still about 60 seconds until his teleport is available, so the rest of Shopify does have to be very careful if they want to try to defend anything on the top side. You mentioned Palafox being nearby, but playing very defensively, and rightfully so. Even though he had Seos up there next to him, you think about, oh man, what if you get a wombo combo of Rell and Annie? Well, what happens is you both die, because you're still down 3,000 gold, and it's not particularly difficult for Disguise to just burst somebody down underneath that turret for a couple of shots.
Especially when they have double Seekers now at this point, right? You know, there's a Seekers on both Darkwings as well as Castle, so easy to juggle the aggro in these kind of situations. And Rahel, level 17 now, did go back to base, you know, finished up that Shojin, has the upgraded boots, so he is very strong. But Bvoy is closing in on his IE. He already has the BF sword as well as the Crit Cloak, so give him a little bit more time. And I feel like this 2.7k gold lead, while it was really good when they first hit 2k, 3k, 4k, now we're at 30 minutes, and now it's really not meaning that much anymore. The lead is kind of dwindling. It's not that they can't win the game still, but I feel like Bvoy and Shopify have an honest shot at this next Dragon. It's just straight up winning a 5v5.
I mean, you think back to almost, what, 10 minutes ago was when the reversal play in top lane happened. When they tried to kill Castle, they didn't have the damage. Disguise shows up, summons the cavalry, and turns things around to build them the greatest lead that they had throughout the game, which was up to about 4,500 or so. You get the Otacon right after, and you're thinking, oh, hell yeah, War Machine's online, chugga, 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 let's go, taking over the map. But then it didn't really lead into a whole lot in the 10 minutes since.
Yeah, no, it hasn't really turned into too much. Like you said, at 21 minutes, they were already up 3K, and then after that play, I think they were up like almost like 4K. So, you know, from then to be, you know, now the same, even less of a lead, really is not going to be that big of an advantage. They do still have that soul point that they're going to be looking towards, but of course Baron is on the map as well. They're going to have to be playing around that. Both these supports now do have their flashes back, so Seos can look for potential with a play. He's on barrier right now, huhi is back on the exhaust, so exhaust can have pretty massive effect against both the Gwen and the Annie, especially, you know, if you do have that timed well before Annie is getting that full combo of spells out.
All right, eyes on Seos for me particularly. I don't think that we've seen any big Rell moments from him. The biggest moment that Seos has had was the fight back for the Rift Herald, just keeping eXyu locked up long enough to make it so Contractz and the rest of Shopify could secure that objective. But there hasn't been a wowie Rell moment this game, and that's what I want to see.
True. Looking for that wowie?
I need a wowie from this Rell. A big
what
engage.
Everyone needs in life, you know?
Yeah.
Well, a wowie every once in a while.
Let's see if Seos can give us a wowie here as DSG are starting up the Baron, but they don't want to overcommit to it. Got it down to about 3/4 HP. Castle has to flash over the pillar. Tempered Fate doesn't find anybody. Rahel just firing on these Mystic shots. Remember with this build, with the Shojin all stacked up, it pretty much doesn't have a cooldown. Rahel trying to shift forward there, aggressively find some more damage onto Seos. Remember, that is your main engage for Shopify, but it's a level 10 Rell. It's a 1/3 HP. If he goes in, he is dead.
Yeah, he'll probably it'll be duck hunt. They're going in anyway.
Immediately, though, eXyu ready to lead the charge. The heroic entrance ain't going to do a whole lot here just yet as Castle's about to die to Fudge off to the side. Palafox already down now, too, as eXyu with the rest of the Skyscraper with Contractz and Bvoy off on the left. Rahel bringing him underneath the tier 1 turret. A beautiful bait and out play from Disguise. Disguised, a double kill for Castle before he falls. 2 still standing on Shopify Rebellion versus the 3 of Disguised. It's a bloody fight that slightly goes Disguised's way.
Yeah, slightly goes their way, but again, I feel like eXyu is just over-forcing in these plays. He's trying to full send it in onto the Trundle. The Trundle's pretty tanky. You know, you're not just going to one-shot him. And when they go for this fight, like, let's keep our eyes on where the carries are compared to where he is when he actually goes for the engage. So Rahel and Castle are down on the side, and eXyu just decides, you know what? We're going to full send it. Look where your carries are. Look where Rahel and Castle is at the point at which he actually goes for this engage. No one's in range. Your Q flashing. In comes Galio, but it's not even close. Look at Contract's health, right? Like, there's just no reason to send it in that situation. And I feel like this is something that we saw, you know, even earlier from eXyu in this game. We've seen quite a bit. He's getting a bit antsy. And not only are you losing out your own life, you're losing the GA as well.
Ooh, Contractz, though, caught up in a tempered fate, but he's not the one in danger. DARKWINGS is the one to be sacrificed as the last bit of needlework from Fudge ain't gonna find a target, but huhi kills off Palafox. So we will get mid laner from mid laner traded here, as once again, the Dragon Soul is available if Disguise can claim this, but Shopify are ready to fight for it.
Yeah, we'll see if they can make it happen. Bvoy has both his summoners. Not a lot of people do, and Seos is sitting on Smite. They're trying to focus this down.
Rahel is not even here yet. The Ezreal is nowhere nearby, so Shopify can immediately claim the Drake. huhi tries to go on a magical journey, but the journey is straight to hell. Bvoy sends him there, courtesy of that last rocket. Shopify loving the state of things now. Isaac, this gold lead, not even 1,500, almost completely gone. The Dragon lead has been evaporated, eviscerated, eliminated. Disguised are falling apart.
Yeah, they are. And I mean, Bvoy is stacked now. He's already got the IE. He's on 4.5 items. He's almost done his 5th item, has the boots, so that's going to be full build as that comes through. And Rahel, I've got to question the Frozen Heart in this game. Like, I just don't think that Frozen Heart is really it in this situation. You're the one with, I don't know.
Oh, Shopify's deciding to full send it after Rahel, though, who barely gets away over the wall. Now DARKWINGS, eXyu, and Castle coming in for the massive counterattack. And Bvoy is cooked up. Rahel stays alive. And Disguise turn it around, punishing Shopify.
Yeah, nicely done, able to kite out that engage, and they do punish pretty heavily as Shopify go deep onto Rahel. They can't actually knock him down, and now DSG is going to start up the Baron.
All right, 5 versus 3 on the map. Fudge dead, Bvoy, the main cannon from Shopify, one of the 2 eliminated, means there's just no way for Shopify to try to fight for this. And now, right when it looked like Disguise may have lost all their footing, how they may have kind of crossed that threshold of now the game is in danger, they bounce right back.
Yep, doing really well. They are up 4.4K. Yeah, a couple of kind of missteps in a row allowed Shopify to close the gap, but this time Rahel is just kiting them out, and they really heavily forced on this. I mean, this is the ult from the Trundle, the ult from the Gwen, as well as the ult from Rell, all sent onto Rahel. He pops the barrier, doesn't even have the flash, just kites them out, and in comes DARKWINGS, in comes Castle, in comes everyone, and you can see it on the face of Damonte there, realizing they went way too far. And that one hurts because you lose the Baron just like that again. They have full control of the map. They're going to be pushing here and trying to extend the gold lead. Even larger lead than it's ever been.
Okay, huhi's off to the side. Keep your eyes on the Bard for the Tempered Fate to try to continue pushing things forward. Disguise. The big thing about that last fight, too, because Shopify was so overextended, it was so easy for eXyu to finally pair up with everybody else and get the dive target that he wanted. Now, Bvoy taking continued poke here from Rahel with these Mystic shots. They've got the 1 empowered cannon minion, but meanwhile in mid, Castle has escorted the next wave up, so it's pressure in 2 places here from Disguise as they continue slowly whittling away at both these tier 3 turrets.
Yeah, pushing in both of these lanes, and we'll see how much they can get done. Rahel, is stepping forward, just kind of poking away, not really able to hit the tower just yet. They're going to drop the Tempered Fate, though, and now the tower will fall. Okay, tower out of the way here in bottom lane. The base has been broken, and Disguise do not want to stop here. Rahel continuing to find those auto attacks, wear down the HP of this inhibitor, take the first inhib, and come that much closer to securing the first win here in this best of 3. As Castle opens up the mid lane inhib to be the target next. Rahel going to find a little bit of damage on that first Nexus turret, knocks it down to almost half. DARKWINGS popping the stasis, trying to stay alive here for the very front line as they
they engage back onto Bvoy. The Corki is down, and Disguised have found their main man. Now, everybody else on Shopify scrambles to stay alive, but Castle just does way too much damage. Shopify fought back as good as they could, but after 37 minutes, Disguised proves triumphant to take game one.